So staying true to our newly defined vision, we set out to begin planning and designing and putting together a design document in order to reach our end goal. Probably most important focal point was attempting to achieve the same impact or feeling that players had the first time they picked up and played the original RE, particularly the first one and its iconic atmosphere and imagery. So what did we have in the original RE that defined it? Well, you had unfamiliar surroundings. Where were you? Everything you encountered was new, and neither you nor the characters knew what was going on. Interesting enemies. Everyone remembers the first time you see the camera pan to what appears to be a zombie, and it turns towards you. Were you fighting with the undead? Players didn't know who they were. Sure, you heard the stars' names, but the characters weren't that developed. They were new, and you didn't know who to trust. Would you ever even make it out of this place alive? You'll notice the goal here was to tie in a lot of unknowns. Who, what, where, how. All this contributes to giving off feelings of anxiety and ultimately fear. For the new direction, we wanted to create that same sense, or create a sense of unknown. So we chose a new setting in Louisiana, with an unfamiliar main character and a new mystery. The sense of new and unknown continues with our enemy design. With photorealism, our characters could display vivid expressions. We could have them perform unexpected and grotesque actions. And this leads to psychologically taxing situations, a sort of psychological roller coaster. Not knowing what to expect kept situations tense, and players often trying to keep their guards up and sometimes failing. With RE, level designs focused on enclosed areas where you collect ammo and solve puzzles, all with the intention of opening up new areas and moving forward. This was accomplished with either linear, or what we call tubed style design, or through more Metroidvania-like progression. We kept this for RE7 as well. Welcome to the family, everyone. Since we wanted to keep to 4 or 5 main villains, the less is more approach, we thought a good way to bring it all together would be to make them a family. Now we had some of the general ingredients we needed, so we needed to review some of the issues we felt existed with making a horror game. One of the main problems we discovered is that people get used to being scared pretty quickly, especially if you can guess what's coming. We thought that in RE, players overcame their fears by laying waste to enemies. This is the catharsis point. Once the unfamiliar grows, and then it becomes familiar or common, people adapt and learn how to overcome their fears. So we decided to shake things up a little bit. We incorporated elements of the horror subgenres into each of the family members. There's a multitude of categories here, so without going into too many details, we can say that Margaret, or the mother character, for her, we took elements of body or natural horror. Limbs exaggerate as she mutates. Centipedes emerge from her body. With Jack, the father character, we included elements of slasher films. Lucas, a slice from psychological horror, and so on and so forth. We still needed to overcome our perceived issues with horror, though. And the easiest, or simplest, at least in terms of theory, not execution, was immersion. How do we make players feel like they're in this world or situation? We already mentioned first person and photorealism, but adding to that, we wanted to have a level of believability, while limiting the characterization around the main character. And of course, one final piece to the immersion puzzle was to include VR. So what are some of the things we actively removed or chose to avoid? To keep our overall vision of scary and fun while staying true to the defined RE identity, we felt that we needed to exclude familiar characters, action elements, co-op, zombies, any type of over-the-top blockbuster type film. Including these would run counter to our goals, or at the very best, make them difficult to achieve. Now we are finally starting to get closer to actually building something. We got our direction, our ideas, our definitions, but what do fans like about the series? So over our 20 years with the franchise, we've gotten feedback that tells us that what the fans have liked across the timeline. You've got characters, story, a sense of fear, foreboding, puzzles, taking down enemies, particularly in co-op, zombies, creatures, all of the stuff that comes with RE, and fixed cameras. But not all fans are created equal. And most importantly, you can't have it all. So here's something Koshi believed about creating or building a commercial product, complete with visual references of what you get when you pack everything together. As you can see, making something no one hates means also making something that no one loves. You'll remember potentially that Simpsons episode where Homer made a car for the everyman, and it ended up being for everyone and no one at the same time. Here's a little bit more philosophy. Deciding what to do means also deciding what not to do. And so with that, we completed our game design doc and moved forward. Which takes us to presenting that to the guys seated in the front row, maybe. Marketing, yeah. So how did they respond? Well, all companies and publisher-developer relationships are different. Some are contentious, some are friendly. For us, when we presented it to them, we didn't get much pushback. However, it was very easy to come up with reasons for failure or risk. This was especially true as we were going through the approval process. From our perspective, marketing liked our design and direction. Their major concern was determining where the brand fit into the market. After all, we were trying to make something old, but new. Lucky for our devs, however, our chairman, Big T, lover of baseball, puts a lot of trust into our teams. He truly believes that they're capable of making something good and encourages them to do so. He didn't actually say that. No, he did. How did the team react, though? I think that's a point that we need to explore. Well, we took a lot of criticism to heart. We knew we needed to appeal to our base, so we needed to look more into the details of our approach. We wanted to have something as fresh and memorable as the Christopher Nolan Batman films. However, the important point to consider is that we didn't want to reboot the series. We wanted to move it forward in its next natural stage. So following through with our aims, we broke down our targets and wanted to ensure that we were making something that our fans would be happy with. It's all theory and data, but at least it helped us to create goals and move towards them. One of our other goals became moving towards action via gameplay rather than the shooting mechanics. But there are already some great games out there that are scary. Again, we needed to differentiate ourselves. We needed what the Japanese refer to as the fifth sense of taste, the umami. So Koshi asked the teams to write up some mock reviews. What would people say about our title? Here's a general summary of what they wrote. Excuse me for a moment. Resident Evil 7 trades the massive scale and unrivaled variety of the previous installments for a return to the magic of the original Resident Evil. Though the game's theme and plotline hint at classic RE tropes, RE7 has largely discarded its ongoing virus-centric story and familiar characters, which might be a disappointment to some fans. However, the development team should be commended for meeting and exceeding the high expectations of the current market, and we were left with high hopes for the future of the series. So they were trying to predict the future and be hopeful.